Money on my mind, gotta hustle and grind. Financial literacy always on my mind. I'm stacking knowledge, no time to waste. Gotta invest smart, gotta keep up the pace. I'm reading books, learning all the tricks, studying the market, making calculated picks.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again with another episode of Crypto Portfolio Updates. Oh, geez, got too much stuff on the screen. Before we get into the crux of the topic, let's make sure that you guys have hit that like button as you're coming in. Definitely leave me some comments down in there to let me know that you guys are tapped in with your boy over here. Also, if you've been here more than twice, you should be subscribed. Even if you hate watch, you should be subscribed so you can hate faster than everyone else. Lastly, share this with people that you care about. Share it with your circles. It helps me get out into the rhythm that Al Gore made. And also, nobody's trying to get rich by themselves. I'm not trying to get rich by myself. You shouldn't be trying to get rich by yourself. If you're the only person who's eating at your table, then it's a terrible table to be at. And honestly, it reflects poorly upon you. So let's jump right into it. Pull the screen back up. First and foremost, let me go ahead and get myself out of here because I am not a narcissist. Bitcoin is rebounding to $82,454.49 at the time of this recording, which is day before launch. It's Tuesday evening. Yeah. And against popular belief, this is still better than what it has been. Like, is it 100K? No. Are we going back? Yes, most likely. This is part of the bull cycle. And unfortunately, when you tell people that you've seen this 3 other times prior to this time, they'll still say, oh, well, it might not happen this time. And literally the last 3 times, people said the exact same thing. And literally the saying that we have in the crypto space is have fun being poor. It's just interesting. It's crazy to me, having been in this space since 2013, having over a decade in this space, that people still want to act like people don't know what they're talking about who've been in the crypto market for over a decade. And I'm going to say that again. When you're speaking to someone who's been in the crypto market for over a decade, your little posh snide remarks on Reddit with your profile picture that's not your face really doesn't carry much credence, because like all I hear is like it reminds me and takes me back to a space where there was this chick that I used to think I thought she was pretty cute. She was a brokey, but she was cute. And I mean, honestly, a lot of chicks are brokies. So, and I understand a lot of them say they're boss babes, but when you lay like the numbers out, the brokies. And I remember it was like when I first got into Bitcoin, and everybody, when they first get into Bitcoin, like your first year, you really hit the pavement hard. You're trying to convince everybody, because it's almost like when you find religion for the first time. You want to save everyone, right? You're like, I got to tell you about whatever religion, the spaghetti god. I just found out about him. He's out here saving souls, and I want you to be saved by the spaghetti god. So I got to throw spaghetti god in your face. And I was that person. And I feel like everybody's that person when they first get into Bitcoin. And it makes sense. That's what you do. You find out about something great and you just want to share it with the world. So I was doing that, and this girl, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on the screen since we're doing a little slight rant here. This girl, young woman, back in, I'd say probably 2014, 2015-ish, was just like, oh, Bitcoin. What do you even use that for? And, you know, every once in a while, I check back in on her Instagram, and she's still pretty much more or less in the same space that she was in still broke, still doing exactly what she was doing almost a decade ago when I was talking to her. And it's indicative of a mindset where, and honestly, at that point in time, it made more sense to be that level of skeptical. But when the president of the United States announces that we're having a Bitcoin reserve and people are like, oh, it's going to go lower or this could be it. And it's like, okay, well, like, do you think the government, you're smarter than the government? You're smarter than BlackRock. You're smarter than MicroStrategy. You're smarter than people who have an order of magnitude more wealth than you, but you know something. You, nondescript Redditor, know something that these people who are worth billions, literally billions of dollars, and in the BlackRock's case, literally own the planet. You're smarter than the government, which actually, honestly, with the stuff that Doge is discovering is plausible. Like, I think a lot of people are smarter than the government. But you're smarter than BlackRock. You're smarter than MicroStrategy. You're smarter than a publicly traded company. Like, geez, you must be the richest person in the internet, honestly, with your picture not shown. And that's why your picture's not shown, because you're so wealthy. You're so much better than these other people. Your skepticism is top notch. Everyone on the planet's losing but you. I'm just gonna call it what it is. I'm gonna Oh no, I kicked myself off the stage. So hold on, we're gonna have to do this all over again. Wow. Okay. So sorry about that, but we're doing this in one take. So we're doing this the way that it's supposed to be done. I kicked myself off the stage. We're just gonna do it with me live on the stage. It's been a day and we're recording this late at night. So we're going to do the top 5 gainers and losers. I just spent a whole amount of time there talking about stuff, and we're going to get into the topic of discussion. This is going to be a crazy one take. Like this one's just going to be what it is. We're having to do it late at night. We worked late. We had obligations, and this is what it is. So getting to the top 5 gainers and losers. Sorry for those of you who saw that long pause. Fuck, reprimand me down in the comments, eviscerate me. Like I deserve this one. But we do one takes around here, and this is the way that it is. I didn't even notice that I took myself off the screen versus what I normally do, which is stop the camera so that you guys, those of you watching, can see the full screen. But like those of you that are watching are going to see me on the full screen in the corner here. Like that's just what it's going to be. Let's see here. I can make myself smaller. Yeah, there we'll do that. So hold on. Let me refresh the page. So that way we get the latest data. So at number 1 on the top 5 gainers, which I hope you guys all get the experience of being on this list as per usual. Everyone, I'm hoping during this bull run gets the chance to be on this list. But at number 1, we have it ranked 723. We have Reactive Network with a gain of 71. These are all actively updating, so they're going to just not be in order at this point because the market is happening. People are moving money right now. But Reactive Network has a gain of 71.9% in the last 24 hours. At number 2, we have it ranked 750. We have Parsec with a gain of 75% in the last 24 hours. At number 3, we have Debt Relief Bot at rank 803 with a gain of 51.2% in the last 24 hours. At number 4, we have at rank 843 Poweeze with a gain of 54.1% in the last 24 hours. And last but not least, at number 5, we have at rank 442, we have Soros with a gain of 47% in the last 24 hours. Moving on over to the top 5 losers, which this week it is not much movement going on down here. These are all low numbers. This could be a bunch of retracements, but let's get into it. At rank 516, we have Zebic Network with a loss of 24.6% in the last 24 hours. At number 2, we have at rank 456, we have Elixir with a loss of 16.5% in the last 24 hours. And at number 3, we have at rank 519, MyShell with a loss of 12.5% in the last 24 hours. At number 4, we have at rank 611, Roam Token with a loss of 15.1% in the last 24 hours. And last but not least, at rank 935, we have Tornado Cash, an OG in the space, if you know, you know, with a loss of 5.7% in the last 24 hours. Now, we're going to get to the topic of discussion. We're going to talk about the play for the market collapse, because we are apparently dipping, and they're saying that we could dip anywhere between as low as $60,000. So we've deployed a lot of margin in the 80s. We deployed just under $4,000. We have started aggressively dollar cost averaging. We are buying Misty, MSTY, which is these are stocks. We're doing the income play because the Bitcoin strategy, we moved over into the income portfolio with the goal of once we get to certain metrics, we'll be able to just buy back Bitcoin at that point. But now that we've hit these market collapse levels, we got to start looking at some different options because Misty is taking a beating. And when I think about it, you got to look at the overarching goal. So what's the overarching goal for my financial situation? Now, this is my financial situation. Your overarching goal might be different. But my overarching goal is to get my entire paycheck deposited directly into my income portfolio. and then deploying that into income portfolio positions. And then taking the income from the dividends that I'm receiving every month and using that to pay all my expenses. Reason being, I don't have to worry about portfolio reinvestment. That's one of the reasons. The other reason being is I want to live out of my dividend portfolio. So that will give me training at learning how to do that. One of the other things that it'll open up is, since I'm not going to be doing portfolio reinvestment, the money that I'm setting aside from that portfolio can go into my long-term portfolio and to buying Bitcoin. Another move that I have made is I am no longer buying MSTR directly since we are sub 300. And I've decided that sub 300, we're not buying MSTR directly. We will buy MSTX. Why? Because that's 2x leverage MSTR. I am ignorantly bullish on Bitcoin and MicroStrategy, both. And so this puts me in a position where I can go all in. So I sold all of my MicroStrategy and put it in MSTX. And I'm pretty much not looking at it again until we get to about $100,000 Bitcoin. And then I'll check and see where I'm sitting and see what I want to do with it. Another play that we've got that's looking really good is LFGY, which is another yield max fund. And I am actively looking at, like, I switched out my YBTC position, which was my weekly, in my crypto portfolio because it's redundant. And so I switched it over to YBIT, and my weekly is now LFGY for the bull run. Reason being is it's a weekly payer. I'm looking at like the payment. It's been a strong payer. And, you know, with market volatility, that gives you a diversified within the same narrative portfolio. The other thing that we're looking at is getting back into buying Bitcoin direct. And what I want to do with that is get my, if I get my check going into my dividend portfolio, if I can make that conversion, then all of the extra that I would reinvest back into the dividend portfolio will just go to Bitcoin. I'll probably just take 10 to 20% off the top of my dividends, and that just goes over to Bitcoin. So if I'm making $3,000 a month, that'll be $300 that just goes in, and I'll be buying $300 in Bitcoin a month, and that'll just be stacking and going to cold storage at the end of the year. The barriers for that is I have my active debt, which is at around $10,000, that needs to be paid off first. So a couple of the things that I'm looking at as we're down in this market is actually doing something that I thought I wasn't going to be doing because the market was going up and I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity cost. But if the market's going down, all bets are off the table. I'm looking at potentially selling off half of my Misty position. Now I've got two plays. I've got a bulk amount of money that's coming in that's supposed to be going into the portfolio that I could also use for this. Or I could start hacking up my portfolio. Like, those are the two options, basically. Long story short. But I would want to get that $10,000 of all the debt that I have that's not sitting at a 0% eliminated, cleared off, clear the board, reset, so that I can change my direct deposit so that my checks go directly into the income portfolio, because that will get me to a bunch of my goals faster. Because then every 2 weeks, you've got a bulk amount of money that's going into the income portfolio that I can, and the way that I'm thinking about it is whatever that next week's payout is, since I've got every week touched on now, whenever I get paid, whatever the next week's payout is, I can go into that. And that's the position that I'll get. And then when the next week rolls around, you're boosting a little income. It's either that, or since I get paid on Fridays, whatever paid that week, buy that at the discount, because you're getting it on the EX date, or not the EX date. You're getting it on the pay date. So it's been taken out. So whatever just paid has taken a hit because you're getting paid your dividend, and you buy that. That's also an option. But first and foremost, I have to repay the active debt, and then I also have to repay the margin. So I'm not making any final decisions on that until Friday, because I want to see what Misty pays out this week, because that's what's paying out this week, to see what's left on the margin. Because if I'm not going to be in the ballpark of getting all of the active debt knocked out, I'm not selling anything. I'll wait until I get this bulk piece of cash that I got coming my way, which bulk is like roughly around $10,000, maybe a little bit less. But if that comes in, then I can focus that on making those plays outside of the portfolio, and then I don't have to give up any of my Misty position. But the reason I'd be willing to do that is if we're going to be in a volatile market where we could jog lower, then starting a DCA now to get that half of my Misty position back. Because honestly, like if I do that, if I sell off my Misty position, which would be at a tax loss harvest because we're down. So if I tax loss harvested that to clear the debt, then like you're securing that gain for the debt, which is like roughly around somewhere between 23 and 27%. You're securing a 27% win while prices are down. Also, I would just rebuy Misty until I got back up to where I was. So doing it that way, for me, especially if we're jogging down, is going to pull my average price down. So my average price on Misty specifically is $29 and some change. So I can't hurt myself at this point because of where the prices are. I won't be giving up the entirety of the position. And as long as the market stays down under $30, I'll be able to drag that price down even more as I buy back up. I'm not seeing the logic fail on that. I'm like, well, strategically, that gets me out of one position, puts me in a position, because if it's just the 0% interest stuff, I know that even at 500 shares, around 500 shares, really close to 500 shares of Misty, I'm close enough in that respect to where I'm probably still going to be over $1,000 a month total from all my positions. And I'm like, well, if I'm paying out and I'm buying in at these metrics, and I'm using my check to chunk in these positions to get these positions back in order, and I'm dragging down that average cost because Misty is my largest position, and I would literally just dump my entire check into that until I got back up. I'm putting myself in a better position, and there's outside of taking a hit to the income to shift it to where now I can feed this machine. The minimums on those 0% cards is manageable at that point. It really is. It's just like, well, if I've got a little bit kicking off, I got a good, decent amount coming out every week. Like every week I should be really close to that minimum. Then at that point, like I'm not really worried about managing the debt, and I've got my financial structure set up in the way that I really want to document, that I really want to experiment, which is you dump your whole check into high yield dividends and then see if you can manage on the back end off the dividends. And then, I can keep my expenses low. Like my expenses right now aren't a lot. Like most of that active debt is medical expenses. And like I've gotten like some of it shifted off into 0% spaces, but being able to machine gun through that and like manage that with like active expenses, like what you're actually doing. I think that'd be a good experiment, and it's the space that I want to be in. And this is giving me the opportunity to do that while also benefiting my portfolio, because then I can buy those averages down for my Misty position, which is the majority position of my portfolio. And even at selling half of it, it would still be by and large the majority position of the portfolio. So those are the things that I'm thinking about doing. Again, like as we get closer to Friday and see what's left on that margin after we figure out what we're getting paid from Misty, which I'm not expecting a lot. I'm expecting it to be over $1, but it's been a rough month. So I know that everything's going to be dipped down. We're going to be sitting in a position to where it's like, hey, things aren't looking the greatest, which makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, I don't have super high expectations, but some of the plays that we can make off of this opportunity, because like I said, when prices constrict, that's a good opportunity to go all in. And I think going all in for me is actually getting myself in a position where like that $10,000 that's like accruing between 23 and 27% APR, clearing that board and getting myself back down to where it's just like, okay, so like we're doing whatever expenses we accrue actively. We're not carrying additional debt loads. We're not doing any of that stuff. And then all we have to focus on is the debt that we have that's sitting at 0% interest that we can actually start chunking and focusing at. That would be a win in my opinion at this point, at this juncture. And like I was really excited when I got to 1,000 shares of Misty. Like I'm proud of that. But cutting it in half, I know I can get the 500 shares back, and I know I can get them back at a better price doing it this way while scaling up that income. And I would just be not able to touch margin for a little bit, basically, is the way that would work. So that's what we're looking at doing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, definitely hit the like button. If you made it through that gap, like, tell me about that. Like, how was it? Was it crazy? Because I think it was pretty crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, I was just like, I saw it and I was just like, oh, I was just ranting over there to myself, literally talking to myself. So like, that's the closest I've been to schizophrenic ever. But you guys wrote it through. So like, if you're here, you definitely got to touch base with me and crack a joke, make fun of me down in the comments. And yes, I intentionally didn't clip that out because that's gold right there. That's gold, because I did that. And I do these videos one take. Like, I understand a lot of people, like, it's actually, no one thinks I edit these videos. I just have a decent camera and there's no editing going on. And I do these one take. I kind of talk through what I got to talk through, and then I upload it, make a thumbnail. So if you made it this far, definitely hit the like. Definitely make fun of me down in the comments about the gap of no one talking and me just showing CoinGecko, because that was funny. Shout outs to CoinGecko. Also, if you've been here more than twice, please subscribe, and thank you for being patient with me while every once in a while I make a video where there's just a big old blank space and I don't have time to re-record this. So like, this is just what it is. This is what we get. Also, share this with your people, because no one's trying to get rich by themselves. Like, that's not fun. It's not cool. You being the only person eating at the table and everyone else is starving Marvin does not bode well on you. It doesn't make you look good. People do not think you're cool for that. Till next week, people, it's been another episode of Crypto Portfolio Updates, and we are out. Peace.
Money on my mind, yeah. Focus, got no time for games, nah. I don't play, man, I'm all about that financial literacy. Investing in my future, building generational wealth. Dollar bills, they be calling my name, but I ain't chasing fame, I'm chasing change. Learn the game, now I'm playing it smart. Putting my money to work, it's an art. I'm stacking paper, building my own empire. No more living check to check, I'm getting higher. Investing in stocks, real estate, and more. Gotta secure the bag, that's what I came for.